We aren't officially started unless we... Oh, fuck you, guy. There's nothing worse than an app that insists on updating, but only when you open it. It doesn't update on its own, ever. It just wants to update when you open it, which is the worst time for an app to update because that's when you want to use it, right? Let's try this one more time. We're still not officially live, not until the music starts. Hey! Now we're live. All right. Get you straightened up. Make sure the board is legible. Okay. And I had quite a time getting today's board written. You'll see why in a minute. It's an interesting one. Oh, I knew something was missing. There we go. Get a little bit more of that. Oh, that's nice. There you go. Warm it up. All right. Whew. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm stressed to the gills, is I believe the proper term for it. I see a couple of you guys getting in here. Good. That means we are about ready to start. So let's go ahead and kick it off. For those of you who are joining in, watching, I want to see that message in there in just a second because you know what's coming next. You know what's coming next, don't you? Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the very best part of your day, your week, your month, your year, possibly even your entire life. It's called Live with Jack. Hi, I'm Jack. Today is episode number 122. And today we're going to be teaching you about the differences in age gaps and how that affects you at different times of your life and at different points of her life as well. So that's what we're going to be going into today. But first, if you would like to truly enjoy today's lesson, if you would like to get the most out of this, if you would like to reach the height of humanity, the culmination of all of civilization, all you have to do is grab your glass, your mug, or your flask, a chalice, a stein, or even a cask, raise it high, and let's make a splash. It's time now for our libation bash. Toast the night and enjoy the mood. Together now, we drink some booze. On your mark, let's not wait. It's cheers with chaps, so don't be late. Oh. Cheers. I see you there, Sierra. Cheers. Ah, nice one. Blue Moon's a good one. Okay, now let's go ahead and kick it off. So, like I said, in today's lesson, this actually came because one of the community members asked me a question, and he was, JJ, I see you there. Cheers to you, buddy. And he was asking me about the difference between dating girls who are younger, like university age, and dating girls who are a little bit older, like in their late 20s, like that, and how they differ. And I tried to think of it, but the only way that I could answer that question was to do it from the perspective of where he is, because where he is different from where I am. He's only 22, I think. And so his experience in dating girls who are 22 or 24, or girls who are 29 or 30 is going to be significantly different from somebody who's my age. And once I realized that both sides of the equation mattered, I had my idea for how I was going to organize today's lesson. However, it did take quite the feat of markering and color coding. I had to get really autistic with it to make this thing actually happen and make it work correctly. So let me explain my board before we jump into this. Here's what I've done. And I realize that it might be difficult to read these, especially the pink one. It doesn't show up all that well on the screen. Let me see if maybe if I can change this a little bit, it'll make it easier to read. I don't know. Anyway, I'll read them out loud as we go. This is the best I can do, it seems. But here's what I've done. Each section I've done in pink. And this is the age of the woman that we're talking about. So first section, we have 18 to 23, or the girls just want to have fun phase. Second section, we have 24 to 29, the danger zone. And I'll explain all these as we get there. Third section, we have 30 to 39, one shot at glory. And the fourth section is 40 plus, or helplessly hoping. And by the way, if you guys get any of these references, I've tried to make everything in here a cultural reference because it just makes it more entertaining for me to put all this stuff together. So that is the categories for the women. And then we have the men. This is just my pointer marker. Then we have the men, who I have given you a key in the corners up here as well. So if you ever get lost, you'll have a quick reminder. So the green one is men 18 to 23. Blue is men 24 to 29. Orange is men 30 to 39. And brown is men 40 and up. So now we can actually get into it, because what's important here is the cross section between the different ages. So let me explain by showing, and let me show by beginning, and let me begin by doing. So first off is section 1. These are your young girls, age 18 to 23. Your girls just want to have fun phase. Now, the first cross section here is men 18 to 23, so the same age men. This is a surprisingly tough. Oh, right. I titled this one American Pie. If you know the movie, you know why, right? Like this one's kind of self-evident. Same age there. It's the just out of high school, fresh into university. They experiment, play around. First boyfriend, first girlfriend. Maybe fuck a baked good or something. I don't know. Whatever floats your boat there. But this is actually a surprisingly tough cross section, because most women, especially this age of girls, are actually looking for older guys. And it's tough if you're on the younger side of this. So if you're a guy and you're 18 or 19, you are not going to be very cool in this age cohort. And most of the girls in that age bracket are not going to be super interested in dating you. Now, the further along you get into this bracket, the easier it's going to become for you. Because for a girl who's 18, a guy who's 23 is, oh, he's so mature and he has so much experience and all that, right? And so that's actually kind of what they're going for there. But it's very tough unless you already have a couple of years up on them. It can be really hard to get in with them with these matching ages. However, if you are in this age bracket, what I would recommend is trying to set up dates just quickly, just immediately, with girls who are already in your kind of general world, right? And don't worry about things like, oh, but what if I get a reputation for a guy who asks lots of girls on dates? Who gives a shit, man? Like, that's fine. That doesn't matter at all, right? So I would actually say in this range, your best bet, if you're trying to date girls who are a similar age, is just immediately, just shoot your shot all the time. Shoot your shot. Hey, what are you doing on Thursday? Listen, because I know this place and I want to take you out and let's go check this thing out together. Let's go do this. Just shoot your shot, no questions about it, all the time. Because at this age, you don't really know who you are yet and you don't really have a lot of games set up yet. So it's really just a numbers game. And the more you test, the more you'll learn about yourself as well. Now, the next section here is for guys who are 24 to 29, who are trying to date women who are 18 to 23. All right, this is your weekend warrior. These are the guys who they want to go out on the weekends. They're busy during the week, right? They have careers, they have jobs. Hopefully, they have something going on during the week. So it makes it a little bit tough for them to go out regularly on weekdays. But on the weekends, they're there to party it up all night long. And the young girls are very much into that. They're here for it. They like that. They like the guys who have a little bit more experience, a little bit more disposable income as well. And they just have that feeling of being a little bit more mature. So this is actually a pretty popular cross section here. That's a good one. The next one. All right, all right, all right. If you know, you know. For those of you who haven't seen Dazed and Confused, this is the cohort of men who are 30 to 39 who are aiming to date girls who are 18 to 23 years old. This section gets a little bit trickier depending on your cultural reference point. Because in Western countries, people will freak out, especially older women. Older women will freak out and they'll call you like a pedophile and stuff. And it's like, well, clearly not, right? Like somebody dating a 21-year-old is never a pedophile by definition. But they'll call you things and they'll try to slander you and they'll try to make you feel bad about being attracted to younger women because they are not as attractive anymore. And so they get really up in arms about that. This is maybe the most hated demographic. This is the most hated age cross section here, where you have men 30 to 39 who are dating women 18 to 23. However, if you are able to get past the cultural boundaries there and some of the weird, things that would go with it, then this can be fine. I think that what you're going to find, though, is that the wider the age gap gets, especially with the woman being significantly younger, the more work you're going to have to put into making things happen. Because you're just going to be expected to do more, to know more, to lead more, to take care of more things. And it's certainly not going to be an even split at all. And it's not even going to be close. And you're going to have a very hard time doing things like finding topics in common, even understanding each other's slang, right? No cap. So let's move on to the next section, which is men 40 and up who are dating women 18 to 23. That is Leo. It's Leonardo DiCaprio. That's pretty much it. That's the whole cross section here. Now, I kind of joke. There are some men who do that, but they're usually bringing. This is probably a more transactional kind of relationship. It's very, very rare that this big of an age spread would be completely natural. Now you're going to find, your sugar baby, sugar daddy kind of setups, or you're going to find like Instagram influencers and their lovely Saudi friends and things like that. But for the most part, this age cross section doesn't really happen that much. At least not organically, not naturally. So I don't think that I need to talk to anybody in my community about this and how that looks. Now, let's move on here. Our next group of women is women aged 24 to 29. This is the danger zone. This is when they know the partying years should be behind them, or at least slowing down, because they know that there are some biological realities coming up fairly soon, and they're going to need to start finding somebody who's willing to settle down with them and create some kind of a long-lasting relationship or a family or whatever it is that they're looking for long-term. They need to start shopping in this range. Now, the further on into this range they get, the more into the danger zone she gets, right? And the more she's going to be looking for that serious, is this a thing or is this not a thing? Are we serious? Are we in a relationship, or are we just in a situationship? Are we just friends with benefits, right? Whatever. So here's how this cross section looks for men of different ages. So for young men, 18 to 23, this is Damon, right? In every movie that Matt Damon has ever been in, his love interest, for whatever reason, is always like 5 years to 7 years older than him. And they always just give him these older chicks every time. Even if you go back to like Good Will Hunting, they gave him like the older chick from the bar, right? He's 18, hanging out at the bars, and then he's up there with this like 25 or 26-year-old grad student. And that continues on. This is more of like a, we're both still having fun. nothing is serious here. This is still a fine cross section for just fun. Now, this is mostly going to happen in the lower half of the danger zone here, because as you move up into that closer towards 30, as you start edging towards that, she's not going to be as interested in younger guys. She's not going to be interested in guys who want to party and who want to, like go to concerts every single weekend and stuff like that. She's going to be looking for something a little bit more stable, a little bit more ready to settle down. So early on, this is fairly common, but as you get further in, unless this guy steps up and says, yeah, I want to actually be in a serious long-term relationship, then she's probably going to move on and find somebody else who better fits what she's looking for. Next up, we've got the yuppies. This is young professionals. Think LinkedIn. Like whenever these two cohorts, the 24 to 29 women and 24 to 29 men, when they get together and they spawn a social media, it's LinkedIn. And it's weird and it's awkward and nobody really likes it. And they don't even really like each other that much, but they just, it'll do, that kind of thing. This section, actually just like this age bracket generally, is a really, really weird one, especially right now, especially these days, because the millennials and the now, I guess, Gen Z who are climbing into this age range have kind of been forging a new path, because for the first time in history, it has not been clear what you're supposed to be doing in this whole 20 to 30 range. Whereas previously, even just with the Gen X generation, it was very clear that, like, no, you should be married by like 23, 24. You should have your first kid by like 25, 26, that kind of range. But it's changed a lot. And so this is a really, really weird time for this particular generation. And them being together, it's just the blind leading the fucking blind. It's weird. It's wild. And it's kind of fun sometimes, but didn't love it. Not gonna lie, I do not miss my 20s. Next one here, we have Iron Man. This is men in their 30s dating women in their mid to late 20s. This is cool. This is really cool. This is actually a really good setup, generally speaking. You have men in their early to mid 30s who are dating women in their mid to late-ish 20s. That's actually a really good setup, because you've got a guy who's a little bit more established, knows what he's doing in his life, has actually some experience, not just in life, but in relationships, has probably fucked up a few things, but hopefully has learned from it and is now ready to actually turn into something more serious. And that's ideal for the girls who are in this situation. So this section, very cool. Love this one. The men 30 to 39 dating women in their mid to late 20s. Very good. Then you've got your Cloonies. This is the old guys who they have the ability to not settle down. Like, they have enough things going for them that they don't need to settle down for a while. And they can keep on dating girls. They don't take nearly as much flack as the Leos do. By the way, there's something very particular about this age range that society gets so fucking mad about for these guys. Basically, anyone over the age of like 27 or so, any men over the age of 27 who's dating in this range, everybody gets up in arms and they freak the fuck out. But as soon as they hit this bracket, it's like, yeah, it's fair game, whatever. Who gives a shit? It's fine. So the Cloonies, these are guys who are in their 40s, even 50s, 60s, who they didn't need to settle down, and they still don't need to. They still have the things going for them that they always had. Maybe they're very good looking. Maybe maybe they have enough money. They have enough status. They have enough resources that people, or just enough charisma that people just love being around them, including young women. And by young, I mean, in this mid to late 20s range, which in comparison is quite young. But again, society's totally cool with it. These girls, they're 26, 27. Hey, they're old enough. They can do what they want. Okay, well, Anyway, I'm not going to get into that right now. But this cross section is usually for, honestly, this is for girls who think that they still get to kind of fuck around a little bit, and they think that they still have a few more years. They're like, I haven't hit the wall yet. I'm going to try and squeeze a little bit more money out of the sugar daddy thing before I have to settle down. And that actually brings us to segment 3 of our women. This is women aged 30 to 39. Now, the truth is that this section should be split up. Let me see if I bring that closer. Does this make it easier to read? Yeah, it should. All right, cool. So the truth is that this section should be split up into 2 sections, but we didn't have room for it, and this kind of fits. The reality is that most women, whether they'll admit it or not, this section ends at about 35 and they jump straight down here. 30 to 35, or for the extremely fertile women out there, to 39. This is your last shot, and you know it. This is the last chance to actually have kids, to actually have a family, which you don't have to, right? It's not required. However, I'm here to tell you, whenever women get the baby crazies, when they start losing it, and then they start realizing they're not going to be able to have kids, even if they've said their whole life, they've said, I don't want kids, I don't want kids, I don't want kids. That is only true for maybe 1% or fewer of the women in the world. Truth is, once most of them hit this section, they start losing their mind. They start going crazy. And like the shit around them starts unraveling too as a result. So let's jump into the cross sections here. First off, you've got the cougar, right? This is girls who are in their 30s who are dating men 18 to 23. And not at all looked down upon by society. Everyone's fine with it. Look, these girls, at this point, if they're dating these guys, or if they're dating anybody whose job is like, I have a band or something like that, like, look, these are girls who are refusing to accept reality. They're literally living in denial, and they're just having fun with Chad Thundercock 1 or 100 more times before he's going to stop answering her on Tinder eventually. But she's just out there getting some dick. That's all that this cross section is, which is, hey, good for you, man. Good for you. If you're in this section and you're just banging these older chicks, it's fun. And you don't have to commit to anything. Like, it doesn't matter. And I don't know why the girls think that, like, oh, well, maybe if I show him that, like, I can cook. Like, bitch, you haven't cooked anything, like, except for spaghetti. You don't even know how to make a lasagna. Like, what do you, come on. You don't know how to cook. This next section, this is called the you'll do. This is when you get guys who are in their late 20s, and they're also kind of freaking out, and they really want to start a family. And they start dating a girl who's like a little bit older, a little bit more torn up, a little bit more road weary. And they're like, you know what? Yeah, she's a little bit older. Yeah, she's a little less attractive, but yeah, she's probably less likely to cheat on me. And hey, look, she's ready for a family. I'm ready for a family. We both have a career. It makes sense on paper. You'll do. And that's basically what this cross section is. It's dudes in their late 20s who are like, yeah, but you know, she knows how to suck a good dick. It's fine. Roll with it. And they get together. Okay, cool. Your next section. This is in their 30s. They're both in their 30s. This is As Good As It Gets. Now, if you've ever seen the movie As Good As It Gets, you will know that that is not actually as good as it gets. But this is, and remember, this is important. I am doing all of this through the lens of dating, not through the lens of being in a serious relationship. Because if you're already in a serious long-term relationship, none of this applies. None of this applies. This is all in the I'm still looking and trying to find somebody stuff, right? So this section, this is a little bit worse than the you'll do, which is both of them just looking around and they're like, she's trying to see if she can find somebody who's better than this guy. And he's trying to see, like, do I have to settle down? Or, like, do I still have enough in me that I might be able to pull down a little bit or even down here, right? Like, where do I think I can go? Or is this as good as it gets? Maybe. And so these groups dating each other are not usually very happy. By the way, if you haven't noticed, there is a through line here, which is that every section where they are the same age, they're usually very unhappy with one another. There's a reason for that. We're going to go into that a little bit more later. But our last one here. This one's one of my favorites. Okay, cool. This one's Rocky 3. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Rocky 3, but one of the things that Rocky does in Rocky 3, you know Rocky, right? So in Rocky 3, he ends up having to train with Apollo Creed. He has to bring back his former rival to help him train to get better. And that's basically what this is this girl who was dating him down here or dating guys like him is now having to call in her old nemesis and say, fuck it. Well, at least he gave the good dick. Let's bring him back in. Like, I think that he'll be, look, he's still single. He's still playing in the band, right? So, like, we may as well, right? I don't know. Maybe we can teach him to, like, cut hair on the side or something and earn a little bit of money. But we can get something happening here. So she's calling in her old nemesis, and that's why it's Rocky 3. And our last section for women, this is the sad section. This is the 40-plus helplessly hoping. These are the ones who've made it to 40 or more and don't have a family. Or worse, do, but don't have a man anymore. Whether that's through divorce or obviously nobody blames somebody if they're like a widow, right? If their husband died, and like that's not on you. But if you fucked up, you cheated, or you chose the wrong guy to begin with, you just chose a bad partner. Maybe you chose Chad in the band. Maybe you made all the bad choices along the way, and now you're stuck, single, 40 plus, 3 kids from 3 different baby daddies, and you're like, oh, somebody will take me. I'm a 10. No, you're not. But you sure are hoping. First cross section here. We got Stifler's mom. Once again, if you guys know American Pie, or if you're old enough, maybe you know The Graduate, and you remember the original version of that with Dustin Hoffman. I am dating myself with all of these references. Basically, yeah, young man, older lady, fun experience, but obviously nothing serious can come from that. Our next section here is guy in his late 20s dating a girl in her 40s or up. This is your Benjamin Button. This is a guy who seems a lot older than he actually is. Right now, and this might be like Coot might even actually fit into this category if he weren't such a horn dog all the time, because this is usually going to be like your ultra academic type guy, or somebody who's just like really into intellectual pursuits or cultured things and stuff like that. Somebody who feels more comfortable having a conversation with somebody 20 years his senior. And that's not everybody, but it is perfect for Benjamin Button. Our next one here, this is dodging a bullet. This is a guy in his 30s who absolutely does not want to have kids, does not want to have a family. And so he's like, cool, I don't have to wrap it up with her. There's no worries here. I'm absolutely dodging this bullet. Yeah, we can keep on dating. We can keep looking at whatever you want. I don't really care, right? And plus, hey, sugar mama, she can buy me some shit too sometimes. I don't have to pay for everything. And then you've got your 40 plus dating your 40 plus. This is your In Spite of Ourselves, which is a cultural reference that I don't expect anybody watching to get. But if any of you know where this comes from, I would like you to tell me in the comments below, because I would love to see if anybody knows this classic song. It's absolutely one of my favorites. This is 2 people who are equally miserable, and they're miserable with each other too. But also, it's kind of fun. Like, they do kind of like being there because they've both chosen to be here, whether through the choices they made to avoid, or through poor choices that led them here, or through whatever circumstances, they have chosen to be here for some reason, and they both have. And so this is where you end up. You end up kind of spiteful of each other, but fuck it. You'll do better than being alone, I guess. And that is where we're going to cut this off, because there's no real sense in discussing the dating mechanics of dating anyone older than 40 plus. Because at that point, it all kind of blends together. Now, just for reference, I am 38 myself, so I can talk about most of this from personal experience. The only segment I cannot talk about from experience are the brown segments, because I'm not in my 40s. I've never been there. I've never done that. But the rest of these, I can tell you exactly how they play out and exactly how they feel. For these, I can use experiences that my other clients have told me about, and I can extrapolate a bit from, my own knowledge and experiences. Now, with all that said, I hope you enjoyed this lesson, because this was a lot of fun to put together and a lot of fun to make. And I don't even know if any of it makes any sense, or any of it has even answered the original question that spawned this monstrosity. But if you liked it, if you found any of it entertaining, or especially if you got that last reference, I would like you to leave a thumbs up on this video right now. Leave a like so that I know you enjoyed it, and it helps other people know that, hey, it's not total dog shit, so they can come and enjoy this as well. I appreciate that very much. And with that said, it's time for us to, first of all, say goodbye to our recorded friends over here. Bye-bye, friends. And move in to our Q&A section. Sierra, I'm glad you like that Benjamin Button there. I'm going to go ahead and bring in Antonio, who's coming in hot from Italy. Unfortunately, Paul is really not feeling well today, so he had to miss out.
Hi, Jack.
How are you doing, Antonio?
All fine. How about you? I really, enjoyed the lesson today about.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. Oh, let me
I'm,
get set up. Oh, yeah. Today's lesson was really fun to make.
yeah.
Just like trying to put all this shit together. Oh.
Yeah. Basically me that I'm, in my 20s and stuff. How do you? I really have some questions.
Yeah.
Based on your experience when you were 20, right? Have you ever tried, like dating up, like girls or women above the age of 30, 40 yourself? And if you did, like, what was your experience with that? Like, how did you find it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I was 23, I dated a girl who was 31, and we dated for about, 6-8 months, something like that. And then I also dated a girl who was she was maybe in her 40s when I was about like 24. And that was not any kind of a serious relationship. That was just like we went on several dates. We did things together several times, but that was never too serious.
Don't girls like feel? I don't know if it's just a stereotype and stuff, but don't girls like just feel weirded out by a guy younger than them when dating?
It really depends. Like, it depends on what they're looking for. So, whenever you have girls who are in their 30s who are dating younger guys, like I said, a lot of times that's girls who just want to keep partying. They just want to keep pushing it and see how long they can keep their 20s going, basically. They go from being 28, 29, 2010, 2011, 2012, right? And they just try to keep their 20s going. And so you'll get some of those who just like having a good party buddy, or you might just end up with somebody who they want to be kind of. I don't mean this in like in a weird like family sexual way, but like kind of mommy. They like to be like a caretaker and like have someone younger than them who they can take care of, right?
All right, let's see.
Yeah. And so like the girl who was 31 when I was 23 or so, who I dated, she liked doing that. She liked to like come over and clean my apartment for me while I was at work, or like come over and like have dinner ready or things like that. Like she just liked doing like maternal things.
So basically, she did that on instincts, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, like, also she wanted to do that. And so for her, dating a younger guy was like perfect, right? Because that's what
No, all right. Yeah, also in terms of approaching, do you feel like, I don't know, maybe let's say that I'm 20 and I wanted to go this hot chick that is 30, right? Do you feel that will be harder for me just because I'm younger?
No, and actually, I don't think that any of what I said today should be used for making decisions about how to approach anybody. This
Oh,
should be this information is useful for like kind of generally who am I targeting? Who do I want to be in a relationship with? How do these relationships look? How do they feel? Stuff like that. But their type is going to be way more important for when you're approaching them than their age. So if you're approaching a 24-year-old prude, that's you can use the exact same approach for a 34-year-old prude, and it'll work the same.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so, okay, that's interesting. How about instead, like for guys like being older and stuff, maybe they're 30 or 40, like maybe how old are you now? Like 30,
38.
29, 38? All right, so do you feel like it's actually easier to get younger girls or maybe women towards your age when dating or trying to approach them?
Come on in, Simba. Simba, you want to come and say hi? You want to come join the party? Jump.
Simba
Okay.
wants to answer the questions.
Okay. Yeah. Simba heard young girls and he was like, I'm here.
All right.
He's such a little pervert. Yes, you are, Simba. Honestly, like I was saying, I think that once you nail down which type you like best and you nail down your attraction system,
So basically, age doesn't affect that at all.
age affects it, but not as much as you would think. Not as much as you would think. I mean, like this last weekend, when I was out with Julius and some of the other guys from the community, it was not hard at all for me to just pull over girls in their early 20s, mid 20s, and like they were very interested in me. They were interested in what we were doing. They were into the situation, even though they knew how old I was. And plus, like, I don't look young for my age or anything. Like, nobody thinks like, oh yeah, Jack, he's probably 26. Like, no, nobody ever thinks that, right? Like, I look my age, and that doesn't matter at all because the system and like everything I'm doing, my attraction system is designed to attract that type of girl. So the age is far less important than the actual attraction system and matching it to the type.
Yeah, no, all right, let's see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
like,
a 20-year-old slut is going to hate me, and a 30-year-old slut is going to hate me, and a 40-year-old slut is going to hate me because my system is designed to repel their personalities. And the same thing, but the opposite with your worker bee types or with your friend types or right, like shy girl types. Like they're all going to love me because my system is designed around attracting them.
Yeah. I also feel like a lot of guys might feel, I don't know, maybe they like this big woman, all right? Maybe they're 18, this girl is 30, and they will think like, okay, what the hell she will do with me and stuff. I also feel like instinctively, even based on a societal thing, we've been imposed that, oh wait, you're too young for her or stuff, or maybe you're too old for her, depending on the age of consent, of course. But what what do you think will be a good exercise for a guy trying to date an older woman to actually alleviate like his stress or his anxiety about it? Like, okay, I want to try to approach this girl. She's way older than me, but I feel anxious about it and stuff. Like, what do you think will be a good exercise to avoid that?
I don't, again, I don't think that it matters at all to the approach. Now, if you just actively want to date older women, like if you're just interested in dating older women, then okay, cool. Learn how to talk to them. Like learn about things that they care about. Learn about things that they enjoy, or things from that were important cultural things for them. Right? Like the stuff I went through here today. So much of this shows my age and my like the things that I'm culturally aware of. And a lot of these are from like before I was even born as well, because
Mm.
I was always interested in culture that was older than what was popular at the time, right? So if you are more interested in, or if you just learn about things from 10 years before, or 20 years before, or whatever, then you're going to find a different group of people that you just sync with better. Age is really not that big of a factor, except for the biological reality that women face in
Mm.
terms of their 30s being the last chance to have a baby and how that affects them mentally and their partner choice. That plays a huge role, but the age itself is not the barrier between the two of you.
Mm. All right. For guys that said like have a low experience on dating and stuff, if they wanted to start dating and approaching women, what kind of girl or type do you think is the best to start approaching? Just to approach, not necessarily trying to find like their girl yet, just learning how to approach them. Since like for guys that have probably been stuck in their room or maybe haven't even tried
Well,
in
then in
their
that
life.
case, the types don't matter, right? Like if you're just learning to approach, if you're just getting over the basic stuff, right? Then the types don't matter, right? That's the same as like if you said something like, oh, if somebody is just now learning how to play guitar, what band should they learn all the music for? And it's like, oh, it doesn't fucking matter, right? Just do things, just do approaches, just talk to people, practice that, do 100 approaches. It sounds like a lot, but it's really not, right? Do 100 approaches, and then you will have a better idea of like how to do things, of what you're doing, of how to talk to people, of how to have those conversations, and then you can start picking and choosing a little bit more. But if you're just getting started approaching, then the correct answer is talk to everybody. And I don't just mean every girl who you're attracted to, because if you do that, then a couple of things. One, you won't do as many approaches, but two, uh, you will use that as an excuse to not approach. You'll say like, oh, but like she's not that hot, so like I'm not actually going to approach her. Like, okay, don't do that. Instead, just approach everybody. Just talk to everybody, And then there's no excuse to ever not approach. But on top of that, more importantly, you will get better at the skill much quicker because you're getting that constant feedback and constant practice.
Yeah, all right. No, I understand that. Well, I mean, based on my personal experience for older women, I don't know, I always felt like when trying to talk to them or approaching them, I always felt like that kind of anxious thing about, okay, I don't know, maybe because of the country where I live in, because we also have a lot of stereotypes in South Italy. Like, for example, what the hell are you gonna do with that 30-year-old or 40-year-old? You're just 20, 18, just date down, think about your career and stuff. We're very traditional with dating and stuff. But when I try to actually have a conversation with older women, I always notice that they aren't as easily amused in conversations like small, like younger women, right? Maybe I try to open a conversation with them. I try to I don't know, talk about some random stuff just to get to know them.
Mm.
But I feel like they do not get as easily attached to you when trying to get to meet them as a younger girl.
Go the other way. Go the other way with them. If you're talking to a younger girl, you're trying to show her things, to tell her things, to entertain her, to do all this stuff. Do the opposite with an older girl. You meet a girl who's 10 years older than you, say like, hey, I have a question for you. I've been trying to learn more about different kinds of wine, and it's very tough. Nobody wants to teach me. How about you? Will you teach me about different kinds of wine? I'll buy us some glasses. Teach me about it, though. I'm curious. Can you tell me about it? Like, I would appeal to them because they have more experience. Or I would push things a little bit more that way. Be like, well, that's fascinating. I've never thought about things that way. Tell me more about that. Or like, how did you come to that idea? Or what made you think that? Or basically flip the script a little
So
bit.
basically, get them to talk about their emotions or feelings about something that
Yeah, emotions and feelings, but I'm talking about more like let them show their experience. Let them show off for you a bit. Now, if she's only like 2 years older than you, then it doesn't matter, right? You don't have to worry about that. But if she's 10 years older than you, let her teach you some things. Let her show you some things, right? And that's fun. It's interesting.
It's also
Let her
true
tell
that
her story.
it's like the saying of girls always look for older guys true. Like there's I know that there's this saying because around girls always look for a more mature guy, a more older guy than them.
Yes, but that's especially true in your age bracket because you're very young. And the only thing that girls really do not like is dating very young guys. Because very
Yeah,
young guys are usually broke, inexperienced, don't have any game, don't know how to eat pussy, right? Like they're just not really that good at life yet. And it's not their fault. It's just the situation. It's okay. Right? Like try it out on fat chicks. You'll figure it out. Whatever, right? But uh so most girls they look to date older, especially in that range. Now, for actual relationships, usually girls will date a bit older as well. And so 3 to 7 years is pretty common age gap for the man to be older than the woman. There's no rule about that, but
yeah, okay.
that's common.
Yeah, no, I understand that. On your experience, what do you think is the best girl? Like out of the 14 types, what do you think is actually the best girl to date, based on your experience?
The best
I
girl to
don't know,
date.
like personal experiences, basically on your experience. Like, what do you think is like not necessarily the most fun, but also the most enjoyable type of girl to date?
So if you want, if you want just the most like experiences and adventures and trying new things and stuff like that, then
Yeah.
probably the cheater, right? Because
What?
yeah, because that's what drives her is like the desire for newness and for novelty, for new experiences. That's what drives her. And so like, yeah, she's actually, it would have been nicer to call her like the thrill seeker or something like that, but the cheater gets more clicks on the blog, so that's her name basically. And
Hmm.
all of the girls, I chose their name to be just the most clickbaity possible name for all of them, right? Like the attention whore, right? Like that's such a clickbaity name. Same thing, the slut, the prude, the alcoholic, like all of these are, they're clickbaity names, but they're clickbaity names for a reason. Now the truth is, and if you actually read what I wrote there, or if you have the video course and you've seen those videos where I go into more depth, then you'll understand a bit more about like the psychology and what's actually driving them. And so the cheater is amazing for like a short-term relationship. If you're traveling and you meet a girl like this for like 3 weeks where you guys can just like bang it out and do a whole bunch of crazy stuff together, and like, yeah, she's great for that. I wouldn't stick around with her for a long-term relationship. She's going to get bored very easily, but she's great for that. If you want a party buddy, if you want
Hmm.
somebody to fucking go to Ibiza with you and just drink your way through every single bar and club there, go with the alcoholic or go with the attention whore, right? If you want
Hmm.
somebody to be your ride or die bitch, you want a girl who will stab you or stab another chick if she looks at you the wrong way or whatever. Then like,
Did you ever
go
get
the crazy
stabbed
lover, right? So
yourself?
like it so it depends on what you're actually looking for.
Yeah, no, I understand. I also have this question here that, okay, let's say that I love this girl, right? Because as a man, you always have some kind of competition when trying to get a girl. Like they're flooded with DMs and stuff. I personally think that at least they're basically flooded with DMs. They every time they go out, they might get a push from someone else. What do you think is the man that will be able to actually approach her and get a date with her? If there were like two men approaching her, what do you think are the traits that she's gonna value most? And how is she gonna decide who to date?
I mean, that's impossible to say, right? Because that's going to be different for every person. The,
So basically, okay.
if there was one answer to this, then that would just be the answer, and there would be nothing to talk about, right?
Hmm.
It's some girls are going to value physical attractiveness over everything. Some girls are going to
Okay.
value height over everything. Some girls are going to value money over everything. Some girls are going to value humor over everything. Some girls are going to value, right? Like, it depends, man. It's, there's no way to predict that. Now,
Hmm.
that said, it doesn't matter because all that matters is that you figure out which parts of yourself, like, what can I maximize the best? Um,
Okay.
so, for example, right, like for me, I could spend my time focusing on the gym and on a strict diet regimen and cut beer entirely, right? And only eat super clean and eat keto all the time and whatever else. I could do that. But if I did that, I would not be playing into my strengths at all. I'm not naturally a very physically attractive person. So like I could maximize that as much as it could, but then I would be taking away from the time where I'm out and I'm drinking and I'm carousing and I'm partying and I'm being that life of the party, that energy monster. That's where I shine the most. And so to me, it's like, let's say looks, I could max out at a 7, but personality and charisma, I can max out at 11, right? Like I literally beat most everybody in the world. There are a few people who definitely have me beaten, but there aren't many, right? There's like Donald Trump and Berlusconi, right? He's got me beat. But like there are a few people, but not many, right? And so for me, that's where I want to spend my time, and that's where I want to put my efforts. Because a girl who's going to value looks over everything else, I'm not going to win that fight, even if I'm maxing out my own personal looks. I'm not going to win that competition most of the time.
Yeah, but what about your wife? Like, why did she choose you specifically? Like, have you ever thought about it?
Because I'm fucking awesome, man. Like, so seriously, right? Like, look, she's way prettier than I am, right? And it's not even close. But here's the thing: is that like her life is boring, is predictable. It's just it's like a lake with nothing happening in it, right? And then I come in and I'm just like a jet ski that jumps onto the lake, right? So like that's that. Basically, I brought something that nobody else was bringing to the table, and it was something.
No, but
something
the
she
thing
wanted.
is that I see what you mean about bringing excitement into relationships and stuff, but you also have to count for guys that maybe have some, I want to say personality issues, but maybe they're not just as exciting people as you, or maybe they're not as extroverted. Like these kind of guys that maybe don't have much going on for them. What do you think is the first thing that they should do to actually improve their chances with women in the first place? Because I see that a lot of guys that struggle not just with relationships, but even with conversation or making relationships like friendships in the first place because of their personality. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they're too introverted. Maybe they're I don't know. Let's say they don't understand humor. All right, for example, or maybe I don't know. They just have some enclosed personality that doesn't let them come out. Like how will these people actually be able to get a relationship or be in the dating market in the first place?
Okay, that's a fair question. So you do need what I said earlier about choosing to maximize the parts of yourself that you can best maximize is very important. But also, you do have to meet a minimum standard in everything else too,
Okay.
right? Like I know, especially God, like the internet fucking hates me. They're all just like, "Oh, you fat ass." Oh, yeah, right. Like, okay, cool. I mean, like, yeah, I don't care. But importantly, is that even though, like, yeah, I know, I got my beer belly, right? I'm not a small dude, but I'm not disgustingly obese. I do meet a minimum physical standard, right? Of like, okay, nobody's excited to see him with his shirt off, but also I'm not embarrassed to be seen with him in public either. And so you do have to meet a minimum standard for your physical attractiveness, but also for your charisma, your ability to your social intelligence, things like that. You do need to hit at least a certain amount of those, and understand that like everything is a balancing act. Now, if you are incredibly lucky, If you are a George Clooney, a Leonardo DiCaprio, somebody like that, then you have looks and status and money and charisma. But most people do not. So if you're lacking in one, you need to make up for it in another. That means if you have poor social skills, if you have a hard time understanding social cues and understanding body language and understanding humor, things like that. If you have a hard time with that, okay, cool, that's fine. You still need to meet a minimum, right? So you need to hit a standard, but then you need to make up for it somewhere else. So you need to be incredibly intelligent or incredibly creative, or you need to be incredibly successful in your field, or you need to be incredibly cultured, or you need to be incredibly something to make up for those things. Or you just need to be just like a fucking bodybuilder, right? Like, here's it, like, listen, here's a perfect example. You know Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah, I know.
Right?
I
Like,
know.
dude, the guy has like negative charisma, right? If you've ever seen him talk, like, especially whenever he was, kind of like younger. Now that he's older and he's done like politics for a while, he's kind of developed a little bit more of that stuff. But especially when he was younger, he was just very, very matter of fact, very just, yes, I am not interested in that.
Yeah, I always saw that.
No, I am not a baby. Milk is for babies. Right? Like, the dude had negative charisma, but it didn't matter because he made up for it so much with his body. He had fucked up teeth that went everywhere. He looked like Jaws. It didn't matter because he made up for it so much in that one department. Now, also, he was just generally like a pretty handsome dude. So he could do that. But then he met a minimum level of just like, we can take him in public and he doesn't swear at the waiters or anything, right? Like, he's okay. He meets a minimum standard. But that's all that you have to do if you're exceptional in something else.
I see. So basically, either you're balanced in charisma or everything you got, or you're extremely good at something.
Well, yeah, and like, if there's something that you're extremely good at, be extremely good at that thing. It's better. It's better to be in the top 10% of one thing than to just be in the top 50% of everything.
Yeah.
Now, I want to make this clear. This advice is specific to dating. In actual life strategy, it's better to be top 25% in like 3 or 4 different things that all work together. That's called a talent stack, and that works really, really, really well for life skills and actual success in life. However, for dating, that doesn't really work as well. Instead, you want to maximize the things that you can maximize. For sure. Even at the detriment of other things, right? So like me going out and partying all the time and drinking lots of beer ruins my fucking belly, but it maximizes my charisma and my flirting ability. So
yeah, I mean, if you're like successful, just like you say, I mean, personally, I don't think you're an ugly person. I don't know why you always say that. There's way worse here in Italy, but
it's not that I'm ugly, right? Like,
yeah,
that's not it. It's that nobody ever wants to be with me because of my looks.
yeah, okay, I
Right?
see.
You get what I mean? And so like,
Yeah,
nobody wants to be with me because of my looks, but also nobody's like, oh, he's too ugly, so I don't want to be with him. I meet the bare minimum standard. People are like, okay, that's fine, right?
yeah, okay.
And that's
So
all.
you just gotta have something going on for you. It doesn't matter what.
You're microphone cut out there for a second. Try again. Say that again.
Can you hear me?
Oh no, it failed.
Can you hear me?
No. Try hanging up and coming back.
Can you
Or
hear me?
yes, there. It's
Okay,
good. Yeah.
perfect. I don't know why. Okay, there I am. I'm alive. Yay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I think I just have one last question. Okay,
Sure.
this is I think this is personal advice for me this time. I'm just gonna use it. Right now I'm 20. I do not have any like love interests right now. I don't have my eyes on a girl or anything. But I okay, let's say that there was this girl that I wanted to approach, right? I wanted to go right now. And wait, can you hear me again? They keep calling me. This is what that's why the microphone keeps getting down. But anyway,
Okay. So I heard there's this girl you want to approach.
there's this girl that I want to approach, but she's weird, man. She's actually very weird because first she pretends to not see me or notice me. Then, like 2 to 3 hours later, she maybe I see her glancing at me. I see her watching me. I see her that I feel like she's interested in me. Like I don't understand why girls do this every time. They first pretend that they do not care about your existence, and then they just give you these clues, and you don't know what to think of them. Do you think I should just approach and see what happens?
Yeah. And in
Yeah.
fact, like you can even call that out. Like whenever you approach, you can walk over to her and say, "Hey, you're kind of weird, and I like it. My name's Antonio. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah.
What's your name?" Right? Like you can do that. It doesn't. It doesn't matter. Just do an approach. Just go up and
No,
talk.
but yeah, it's not even about anxiety. It's just I want to make like I have this defect, right? That every single time I have a doubt on something, I must get confirmation about that thing, whether it's true or not, right? Like, so yeah, I'm definitely just gonna approach her and stuff and see how it goes. I'll definitely update you on that.
Yeah. I mean, like that's how you get confirmation. Is you do the
Yeah,
approach. You go up and talk to her. Right?
but personally, why do you think girls do this stuff? Like, first they act interested, and then they act like you don't even exist. Why do you think that is the case?
They act interested because they're interested, but then they stop because if they are too forward, then they risk rejection. They want you to approach them.
Okay, okay, I understand that.
Right? Like the older the texts, right? Like the older game stuff used to call these IOIs, indicators of interest, where a girl basically shows you she's interested, whether that's like looks across the bar or whatever, or like the hair behind the ear, things like that. And those are still true. Like they're
Okay. The thing is that she looks at me, right?
what?
Now I don't know if it's just her like a facial expression or anything. Maybe I'm just overthinking this too much. But she first looks at me. She does this thing like you said, but she has that like this face, like looking at you like a death stare or something. Like
You're
it's so
definitely
confusing.
you're definitely
Like
overthinking it. Like listen,
yeah,
3 seconds, right? If you looked at her
yeah.
for more than 3 seconds, you're overthinking it. That's it.
Okay.
Just if you look at her and you find her interesting, good. Go approach. Go say hi.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely
And
do that. I just gotta stop this. I always do this before I see something I like, someone I like. I just use this 3 seconds
but here's the thing:
rule.
you don't even know if you like her yet, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you're building something up in your head, and you're talking about her like you like her, but you don't know, right? You could walk over and find out that she's like, I don't know, an Irish gypsy or something. You'd be like, oh fuck, no, like, you don't know, she's hot, okay, cool, but that doesn't mean you like her. So go over, say hi, chat with her, and then find out if you like her.
Yeah, this is also advice for you guys watching live at this point. All right, just go for it at this point.
Yeah.
All right.
Not just at this point. Always just go for it every time.
Yeah. I don't think I have any more questions. I'll definitely approach her and update you on that. But
my man, that's what I like to hear. Good. All right, cool. Well, then I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up there for today, guys. It was kind of a short day compared to normal, but still pretty damn long, man. Anyway, I have some more stuff to do, and Antonio, special thank you to you for being here.
No problem.
Those of you who are still watching, I appreciate every single one of you. Much love. And if you haven't done it yet, please hit the like button. It really does help the channel a lot. It helps me a lot. I consider it a personal favor. Thank you so much for that, and thank you for watching till the end. Y'all are absolute legends. Until next week, boys. Papa Jack.